Paddy Power are offering a money-back special in one race every day at glorious Goodwood and the Galway Festival. That's one race at Goodwood and Galway every day this week. Check out our app for more information. Max free bet £10. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to this double header of a racing postcast. We're looking ahead to day 2 at glorious Goodwood and day 3 of the Galway Festival. And the observant among you will notice that we are not here presently at Galway. This is very much Goodwood, and joining me here at Goodwood from the Racing Post, Maddie Playle, and from my lovely sponsors, Paddy Power, Mr. Paul Binfield, and I am Lee Mottershead, and I'm stood by the very place where here on the left hand side, if producer Sam moves his camera across, they will begin the opening race on Wednesday. The matchbook sponsored Goodwood Stakes is a unique race in the Canada, a 2 mile 4 furlong handicap. Well, it's not unique, but it's quite unusual. It's a 2 mile 4 furlong handicap. They start it with a flag, they go down the home straight the wrong way round, and then come up it the right way round. And Paul, who is favourite to finish in first place when they come back up in this direction?
Well, Lee, we've got Lil Rockefeller at 100 to 30, then it's 4 Coeur de Lion, 9 to 2 Cloudgate, 7 Denmead and Pidita, and 8 Northwest Frontier, Impfell, and it's 14 to 1 Bar. Okay,
Maddie, probably the obvious place to start is Little Rockefeller. We know him best as a smashing long distance hurdler. How do you rate his prospects?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because we haven't really seen him over this code for a long time, but you'd have to say he looks well handicapped on what he's done over hurdles. I don't think he would have necessarily been harmed by the little bit of rain that we've had, but clearly is a talented horse, and we know that he stays all day, very genuine, and I think this track will probably see him to best effect.
Okay, Paul, we've got the second and third from that good 100 grand 2 mile handicap at Newbury the other week. Cloudgate, Coeur de Lion. How do you assess those two?
Yeah, obvious chances in the market lead, second and third in, but the one for me is Northwest Frontier, Richard Fahy and that man again, Paul Hannigan. Stamina in abundance, won 3 times over 2 miles. I think he'll be fine over this extra half a mile. He's only gone up £4 for his last win at York, and I think he could still be well in.
Northwest Frontier for Paul. For Maddie?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Lil Rockefeller, I think.
Yeah, it'd be a really popular winner. Andy Smith, one of his owners, will be cock-a-hoop in the winner's enclosure if Little Rockefeller wins. The second race on day 2 is a 1.5 mile 3-year-olds handicap, and this is a race that has a fantastic record. Actually, mile 3 handicap, mile and a half handicap. It's got a fantastic record of producing Group 1 horses. A few years ago, we had Dartmouth win it, Dal Harolds won it, and if you rewind back further, you've got Pellers Moonwell to win the Coronation Cup, and most famous of all, Paul Binfield, in 1995. Come on, begins with a P.
Pilsudski.
Pilsudski, right? First time Pilsudski on this for Sir Michael Stout. It's good. It is. Well, yes, certainly a bit surprising. So really competitive renewal again, and Kel Surprise, Mark Johnson has the favourite.
He does indeed. 7 to 2 Making Miracles, 9 to 2 Corgi, 6 Infrastructure and Drill, 7 Polish or Polish. I'm not sure if you can let me know which one, and 9 Desert Wind, and it's 12 Bar.
Which one would you like it to be?
Well, I think I'm going to go for Polish. Actually, it's going to be my selection in a minute, but I don't really care. But I'm going to go for Polish.
No, I bought a scent recently, a Guerlain scent, which beloved reckons smells like Mr. Sheen. You know, the furniture polish.
Yeah.
So I'm not allowed to wear that.
Oh right, okay.
Little window into my world there. Maddie, assessment on this contest?
Assessment, well, I've got to confess, I did think Corgi was a bit of a monkey, well named perhaps earlier on in his career, but at Ascot he ran an absolutely huge race. He was a real eye catcher that day. I think he's got a little bit of a touch of class about him. He travels really strongly in his races, and if he can get the gaps and he has a good run through at this notoriously tricky track, I think he's the one you might want to be on.
Okay, Binners, a few years ago, back in certainly the 80s, you saw a Luca Kermani horse in a 3-year-old's handicap at Goodwood, and you got very excited. Are you excited about Drill?
I wouldn't say I am really.
Bit excited?
A little bit excited, yeah. I mean, Luca used to be the handicap king. I remember one of my first big wins, or one of my only big wins, to be honest with you, was Dallas in, I think it was in the Cambridgeshire in Dallas, about 86 or something. Yeah. They held it on the July course that year I went, and it was a brilliant day out. But whether Luca's too bothered about these, as bothered as he once was about these handicaps, I don't know.
I'm sure he's still bothered.
I'm sure he's bothered, but he's He's had a few big wins since then, hasn't he?
But you were saying basically you're a so was it Polish or Polish? Polish.
I'm going to go for Polish. Yeah, Roger Charlton, Andrea Azzini. First start in a handicap, 89. We don't really know, do we? But it looks fair enough. He couldn't live with a horse called Bomix last time at Doncaster, but I think it was 8 lengths back to the third. So it was a good performance, and possibly that Bomix of James Fangshaw's is quite a nice horse.
Okay, that is race 2 sorted on Goodwood's second day, and as the man on the tannoy starts to make a lot of noise, we'll have a commercial break.
Paddy Power are offering a money-back special in one race every day at Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Festival. That's one race at Goodwood and Galway every day this week. Check out our app for more information. Max free bet £10. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to Goodwood, and it's glorious on this Tuesday as we talk, but you might be watching this or listening to it on Wednesday or Tuesday, the choice is yours really. And race 3 on Wednesday is the Malcolm Stakes. Markle Insurance sponsor this one. A great speed test down the hill. Paul Binfield from Paddy Power, how do they bet?
Well, we go 5-2 Soldiers Cooley, then it's 4 Rumble in the Jungle, 5 Queen of Bermuda, 11-2 Well Done Fox, 8 Vintage Brew, and it's 10 the rest.
Okay, let me start with this time. Archie Watson had a fantastic day when Soldiers Cool won at Royal Ascot. What chance of following up?
Well, an obvious favourite's chance. Lee Archie Watson, young trainer down in Lambourne, producing the goods and doing really well with the ammunition he's got. I'm going to give Vintage Brew of Tim Easterby's another chance with David Allen on board. Little bit disappointing when 4-1 favourite in the Norfolk Stakes, but I think you can always forgive a horse one poor run, especially at the Royal Meeting where it's so competitive, possibly the occasion gets to you. And it was the fastest ground he'd encountered. If the forecast wasn't as good as it was, I'd be slightly more optimistic, but still, give him another chance. Tim Easterby wouldn't be coming down for a glass of champagne, would he?
No, well, I mean, I've no idea what Tim Easterby's tipple habits are, but I'm like you. I think Vintage is really interesting. Although it's a downhill track here, you need a strong finisher often, and he did finish off the race at Sandown really well. Maddie, what's your take on the Malcolm?
I'm a bit muddled by a lot of the 2-year-old juvenile form, to be honest, so I'm going to side with the horse of Stuart Williams. It's called Street Parade. He's got to step up. He's not been contesting the same sort of quality of races as the others, but he couldn't have been much more impressive when winning by 8 lengths at Chepstow last time. He got a pretty lofty RPR for that. Obviously, this is a bit of an unknown, but might as well take a chance on him, given I'm not totally sold on any of the Royal Ascot runners. No,
that makes good sense. And then we go on to the Group 1 on the Wednesday, and in many ways the centrepiece of this whole fixture, the £1 million Catter Sussex Stakes. Probably not, truth be told, an absolutely vintage renewal, but an interesting horse race for which the odds are Paul Binfield.
Well, it's 7-4, the Royal Ascot winner without parole. 15-8, another Ascot winner, Expert Eye. 6, Gustav Klimt. 7, Beat the Bank. 10, Lightning Spear. 14, Lord Glitters, and it's 25, Bardley. Okay,
let's just dissect some of the leading contenders. Maddie, without parole, got the job done at Royal Ascot. Frankie, by his own admission, said he probably kicked on too soon. To what extent do you think without parole sets the standard here?
I'm not so sure. It's hard to sort of gauge at this stage the quality of that 3-year-old sort of miling division, but he's certainly at the top of the tree. Beating Gustav Klimt, is that really the best form that we can see here? I'm not too sure. But as you mentioned, he's uncomplicated, he tries very hard, he stays very well, and it could well be that he just takes the step up in his stride, but he's not my selection.
Okay. Paul, my sort of hope in this race would be that Expert Eye produces a sort of performance he produced here at Goodwood last year when he was sensational in the Vintage Stakes, got back on track in the Jersey Stakes. A race that often looks great beforehand but not so good afterwards. Which Expert Eye do you expect us to see on Wednesday?
I expect to see Expert Eye passing the post firstly.
Do you really?
I do indeed, yeah.
After a stunning performance?
Yeah, I've always been a big Expert Eye fan. His only 2 disappointing runs have come at Newmarket on the Rowley Mile. He wasn't too bad in the Greenham, only just got touched off that day, possibly a bit unlucky. Then disappointing on the Rowley Mile in the 2,000 guineas, but came back sensationally in the Jersey Stakes, and he was brilliant in the Vintage. You've already said that, and I think this is a really good horse with Sir Michael in obvious good form after his 1-2 in the King George.
Yeah, and James Doyle on Expert Eye as well. Maddie, are you a fan of Expert Eye?
I am, but I think he's still a little bit. He's got a little bit to prove. I'm not necessarily sure he'll be able to back up the run, but he is at the place where he did it so easily last year. I think Lord Glitters is a bit of a big price. He's probably going to be frustrating for a lot of people because he's done a lot of placing and not a lot of winning, but he's still not actually been in this country for that long, and he's put up some really, really good performances. This track should suit him because he's a horse who likes to come between horses and find a little bit of trouble and arrive late on the scene. And I think, again, this rain that we've had, it might have all dried out by tomorrow, but it certainly wouldn't have done Lord Glitter's chance any harm. He's progressing very fast. His second in the Queen Anne was an excellent run, as was his second to Beat the Bank in the Summer Mile last time. I think he's a bit overpriced.
Okay, some other interesting horses in the race. Beat the Bank, you mentioned Beat the Bank. He's a Group 2 winner last time out, and his best looks very good. Gustav Klint represents Ballydor. Lightning Spear, can he ever win a Group 1 race? I think he actually would have a chance here tomorrow, Binners, Lightning Spear.
Yeah, I think Lightning Spear has got a chance. He runs very well at Goodwood, doesn't he? You know, he keeps getting touched off in these Group 1s. I think I tipped him up in the lock-in, you know, he came second with a brilliant run, and both his trainers, Ollie Stevens and Dave Simcock, have always said that David Simcock, or Cocky to his friends in Newmarket. I'm not a friend of his, I just know his nickname, I'll just add, but yeah, he always runs well, and it would be brilliant to see him win, especially from the perspective of my employers, I would imagine.
Yes, because you don't think anybody will back him.
Well, I think some people will back him, but the two big ones in the market are without Parole and Expert Eye. You know, and if we can get those two beat, it'll be a great result. Although, of course, I want Expert Eye to win, having just tipped him up on this brilliant postcast.
Good, isn't it?
It's really good.
Just a little bit of sort of not breaking news, just a bit of gossip. I was just talking to Andre Farb about Albarn. He's running the Sussex H, and in some ways he catches the eyes. A 25-1 shot sent by Andre Farb for a Group 1 whose last run came in a listed race. Andre was basically saying he's a progressive horse with a nice profile. They're going to learn more about him here, and he used the phrase I've not heard Andre Farb say before: "You've got to be in it to win it," which I thought was rather lovely. What do you think about that, Maddie?
Yeah, I think you can't discount any of Andre Farb's runners. I was overhearing your particular phone call. I like the French accent you put on. I thought it was very enjoyable.
You've got to be in it to win it in French, please, Lee.
Well, he said it in it. You see, what I did, I sort of start off by saying "Bonjour, Monsieur Fabre, c'est Lee de Racing Post," and then I sort of move into English because his English is awfully good. And I'm progressing through Coffee Break French in the car. A very good podcast, not as good as this one, but has more French in it. And they make the point that when you mention an English word in French, you should say it in a French accent. So what was your question again, Bennett?
Could you tell me what if you're not in it, you can't win it is in French, please?
Si vous n'êtes pas dans la course, vous ne pouvez pas le gagner.
Oui, monsieur.
Oui.
Putting us all to shame, Lee.
No, well, just say, I do try. Okay, that then was the Sussex Stakes, in which Paul Binfield tips Expert Eye, Maddie Plale tips Lord Gitters, I tip Expert Eye, but I'd love to see Lightning Spear win as well. And now do we have a commercial? No, we're going to wrap up this up by saying anything else, guys, in the final three races at Glorious Goodwood. Who wants to go first, Maddie?
I'll go first. 4 White Sox in the 4:45. You remember she won over the course and distance really impressively, winning by 3 lengths on a penultimate start. Wasn't disgraced in a Group 3 last time. Clearly loves the track. And on her first race, she was second by an horse called Agratera, and we know what she went on to do it in at Royal Ascot. So I think 4 White Sox is the one to watch out for.
Okay, Binners?
Lee, we've been having so much fun. I've forgotten to mention any of our specials. So can I just say in the Molecombe, money back as a free bet on all losers if Soldiers Call or Rumble in the Jungle wins.
Yes. And
in the 5:55, there's 7 furlong handicap. We've got 5 places, an extra place. Paddy's generosity knows no bounds. And I like Sir Titan for Marcus Tregonning purely because when Marcus worked for the Major Dick Hearn, he stayed close by in West Wittering and
by the beach.
And if the Major didn't have a winner at Glorious Goodwood, he always thought it was a disgrace. Marcus continues that trend and often throws one in to win or be placed at a huge price. I don't know what price Sir Titan is at the moment, but I'm going to go for him in the 5:55.
Okay, and are we ready to give our naps for day 2? Shall I say what mine is?
Yeah, go on.
Mine's Making Miracles in the second race. I often need miracles to back her win. Maddie, what's yours?
I might need a miracle as well, but I'll be brave. I'll go with Lord Glitters. I just think he is a bit of a big price, and hopefully can secure that breakthrough win at Group 1 level.
Well, tell you, if Lord Glitters wins, after Maddie has napped it, you will go down as a judge. You will go down as a judge. Like, so,
Is she not a judge already?
No, she is. She's a judge. I was making a point. I was being nice, Bitters.
Okay, fair play.
Have you got any more specials you want to mention?
Well, I could just say in the first race tomorrow, we're 4 places extra place again.
Oh, absolutely lovely. What's your nap?
Well, I'd probably Expert Eye, but as he's short, I'm going to go for Vintage Brew at 8-1. Not as big as Maddie's, but hopefully that one can come back for Tim Easterby.
Fabulous work, team. Okay, that wraps up our preview of day 2 at Glorious Goodwood. And now, with Trundle Hill behind me, we transport you to Galway for our team to look ahead to day 3 and Galway Play Day at the festival there. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, Lee, and a warm, well, not so warm welcome to windy, wet, cold Galway. Yes, we've had a fantastic summer in Ireland, but unfortunately it has not lasted until the Galway Summer Festival. I'm David Jennings and I'm joined by Justin O'Hanlon to preview day 3 of the Galway Summer Festival, and the feature is the Tote.com Galway Plate. And Justin, it's another cracking renewal this year.
Do you think so, John? I wasn't that sure myself.
I'd be more of a positive frame of mind, unlike yourself.
Yeah, I'm totally negative, but it's a useful renewal. I think there's an awful lot of dead wood in the race, and a lot of the dead wood seems to be, as I'm trying desperately to get this phone to move in the right direction.
I suppose you didn't grow up with mobile phones, did you?
I didn't grow up with a phone. I'm right, a mobile phone. But no, I just thought a lot of those at the top of the handicap are probably pretty much dead wood, and they would normally represent the class of the race. I think we may be looking for a winner of the race this year that you wouldn't normally be looking for in other years, possibly.
And what are we looking for?
Well, if Patrick Spark gets in, I suppose that's going to be the main thing about this race. If he gets in, he has a favourite's chance, and I think he's probably around joint favourite at the moment. Done nothing wrong since coming to Willie Mullins, won 2 good handicap prizes at Leopardstown and Punchestown. He's the one to beat if he gets in. If he doesn't get in, well, it throws it up in the air a little bit once more.
You're not going to like this. I hate myself. I actually hate myself more than I did when I woke up this morning.
I've known that for a long time.
Yeah. Do you know what I fancy? And I can I just say, listeners, I hate myself for this. I fancy the Plotting Shed. I know it sounds bonkers to fancy a horse that has never won over fences, that's been beaten at odds on in beginners' chases time and time again, but I am convinced he needs a trip and soft ground at a track like Galway. He was second to Presenting Percy here in a hot beginners' chase at the start of last season, and I just get the impression this is just the ideal race for him. I presume he's been tuned up for it. Mark of 142. He's in the 150s over hurdles. If Jack Kennedy can get him into a nice rhythm, if he jumps the first 3 or 4 well, I think he's the type of horse that could really revel in a race like this, and trust Gordon to do something remarkable like winning a Galway Plate with a rogue like the Plotting Shed. So he gets my vote. He's about 12-1. I think he's into 10s with Paddy Power at the moment. Look, it's probably not great value, but I think he's the most likely winner of the race, and I actually think Gordon completely holds the key, because my second choice would be Jury Duty, who I think 2 mile 6 is absolutely perfect. I'm not quite sure he properly stays more than 3 miles. He doesn't have enough speed for 2.5 miles, and he loved the ground as well, as will the Plotting Shed. So my 2 against the field.
On winter ground, maybe over 2.6, maybe Jury Duty, but somewhere soft, I'm not quite sure.
Maybe, but I think he should cope. My 2 against the field anyway are the Plotting Shed, 10-1 with Paddy Power, and Jury Duty also 10-1 for Paddy Power. A Gordon Elliott forecast for me, Justin. You're 1-2.
Well, I mean, if Patrick Spark doesn't run, obviously I said it throws it into the air a little bit, but outside of him, I know you think he's a horse that's badly handicapped. I was having discussed this a few minutes ago, but Killeen O'Dairy, representing the in-form Henry de Bromhead, Brian Cooper rides 1-4-5. I take your point. He could be better handicapped, but he loves around here. His 2 wins over fence have both been around here, albeit over shorter trips, so I don't think 2.6 is going to trouble him at all. And in what is, I think, a weaker Galway Plate than many we've seen in the past, take Patrick Spark out of the race, he'd be my selection.
Yeah, he is interesting. He's one of these ones that's been tipped up on podcasts in a lot of places, and I kind of said yeah, and then I went into it and I seen he's right at 145, and I just said to myself, do you know what, I was sure he'd probably be high 130s, but 145, I know he's got course form, but I just thought he'd a little bit to prove. But Rachel Blackmore, she can do no wrong at the moment.
I think Brian Cooper's riding it actually, but
yeah, sorry about that. Now that was a nice little segue that was completely wrong,
but I know Bruce will be watching this, and he's going, when you said I'm going to hate myself for this a few minutes ago, he's going to be certain that you were going to mention Kitten Rock.
Oh yeah, Kitten Rock, and do you know what?
It has a squeak.
It has a squeak, yeah. He's obviously well handicapped, but he's obviously as fragile as me or you, Justin. Yes. But it's a funny sort of a race. I don't know, the hurly-burly of a big handicap like this, he'd want to be very well handicapped to win this off such an absence.
Yeah, you're probably right. And looking for something at bigger prices, you're probably struggling a little bit. Another one that could be interesting if he gets in is the West Awake, who is a horse I've always had a little bit of an opinion of. He's in our 10 sticks, official mark, 140 over fences. He'd be one I'd be a little bit wary of if he got in.
Okay, to sum up, we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I am going to go for the Plotting Shed to beat Jury Duty with Sub-Lieutenant in third.
Well, I'm rather tempted by the fact that I fancy 2 reserves, so they're not all going to get in. So I'm going to say Killeen O'Dairy. No, I'm not. I'm going to say Patrick. I think Patrick Park will get in. I don't think there's any doubt he'll get in. I'm going to go Patrick's Park to beat Killeen O'Dairy, and in third, one of the old stages will step up and run a race.
Maybe Road to Riches. He's a reserve. You like your reserves?
Well, he's third reserve. He's not going to get in. Maybe Lord Scoundrel.
Lord Scoundrel for third for Justin O'Hanlon. Join us after the break where we'll go through the rest of the Galway action.
Paddy Power are offering a money-back special in one race every day at Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Festival. That's one race at Goodwood and Galway every day this week. Check out our app for more information. Max free bet £10. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the Racing Postcast with me, David Jennings, and Justin O'Hanlon, live at Galway. Justin, the rest of the Galway plate card, starting off with the 5:10, a maiden hurdle, and what a hot maiden hurdle it is. We've got the likes of the Boucher just touched off in a Cheltenham bumper. We've got Get a Reason, who's held in the highest regard, and one or two others who look to be very, very interesting. Maybe the Big Lens of Gordon Elliott's as well. What do you like in it?
I like the Boucher. I think he only ran a one maiden hurdle last season. The rest of the time he's running in grade ones, and of course his bumper form is better than anything in this race. Just about. I think City Island is probably the best horse that Martin Bratzel's had in a long time. He was. I thought he impressed me when he won that bumper at Punchestown back in the spring. Ground wise, I'd say the ground is probably fine for him. You mentioned a couple of others. Get a Reason hasn't really shown it on the track so far. Matt Gilloney of Dermot Hogan's is an improving horse that you might not. That you probably shouldn't underestimate. De Boucher looks the most likely winner, but I think City Island is one of the ones he could. I won't say he could be anything, but he could be pretty good. And whatever wins this race, it's going to take a good horse to win it. De Boucher probably just about. Yeah,
I think De Boucher is probably the most likely winner, but one that I think could be very, very interesting is Pat Kelly Spearling, who has it all to do on the book. But I just thought it was an eye-catching effort last time at Roscommon. He actually won the race and he trained the second, but Spearling drifted remarkably in the market, and I thought the run at Galway written all over it. I didn't think he'd be running a hot maiden hurdle like this, but I think he's better than he's shown so far, and I'd imagine there's been a plan.
Guess what column he went into after that Roscommon run?
The dark horses. Okay, so that is the maiden hurdle at 5:10. And quickly going through the rest of the card, Justin, while you get your selections ready, the one I really like is in the 6:10. It's the Mayor's Handicap hurdle. And Rosie Alice from the Charles Byrne stable, who was second in this race, so unlucky last year. Got hampered turning for home, and Davy Russell just couldn't make up the ground that he lost. Off a £7 higher mark now, but interestingly, Charles Burns has booked Darragh O'Keefe, who's done so well of late, winning twice on William de Burleigh. I think that Rosie Alice, I'd imagine Charles has said we're going to come back for compensation after being so unlucky in the race last year. Hasn't ran over hurdles since it ran a cracker at the Dublin Racing Festival at Leopardstown, and I think he's trying to keep her handicap mark. So I'm going to go for Rosie Alice in the 6:10. Justin?
You know, I marked out 6 horses in that 6:10, and Rosie Alice wasn't one of them.
That's good news for you.
It's good news for you, I'd say. Down at the bottom of the handicap, I like Touch of Gold, who I thought was maybe a little bit unlucky. Didn't quite get the run of the race in the flat handicap at Killarney the other week, won by Owen Doyle's horse, Ingleby Mackenzie, and I think it has a lovely weight. Others in that race, the Last Indian has improved out. Well, it hasn't really improved out of all recognition. I'd say it's always been capable of what it's shown over hurdles this summer. A little bit of ease in the ground will help her. EJTK comes here in good form. A few others do as well. I'd take the Last Indian and Touch of Gold, 2 mares against. Well, they're all mares, aren't they? Against.
I think a mare will probably win this race. just to narrow it down. So Justin fancies a mare in the mare's handicap hurdle. Surprise, surprise. Anything else on the rest of the card, Justin?
There's another Aidan is obviously interesting in the handicap hurdle at 540. Hasn't run over hurdle since he won here last year. Has had a couple of runs in the flat. Could be well handicapped. I think if Dermot Well is going to have a winner tomorrow, it's going to be Cresserell in that Amateur Riders Maiden, second to that filly of Jim Bulger's, who went on to win 2 listed races since back on heavy ground back in the spring. She's going to take a lot of beating in that. Rawan of Nick O'Callaghan's could be well handicapped in the 8 o'clock on her first run last year against.
I fancy one in that.
Go on.
Espare. Yeah. Now that she has her soft ground again. Okay. I think Espare for Ger Lyons and Colin Keane can win the 8 o'clock.
Okay, I have no strong opinion, but I think Rawan is potentially well handicapped. But the one I very much like is the Tony Martin trained Mr. Everest in the final race at 8:30. Ran a night-catching race over hurdles the last day. John Breslin owns of a mark of 77. Sounds like a good old-fashioned Tony Martin plot horse in the Galway.
It does, and we love good old-fashioned Tony Martin plot jobs.
When we back them, we do, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Justin, to sum up, your best bet on day 3 of the Galway Summer Festival is?
I'm going to go for Mr. Everest in the last.
Okay.
That's the last, that's it.
And I will go for Rosie Alice in the mare's handicap hurdle. And I know Bruce Millington loves us to have the times of the races, and that, Bruce, is the 6:10. Rosie Alice, number 5 on your race card in the 6:10 is my banker on day 3. So that's it from myself and Justin here at Galway. My thanks to Lee and the crew over at Goodwood. Happy punting.
Paddy Power are offering a money-back special in one race every day at Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Festival. That's one race at Goodwood and Galway every day this week. Check out our app for more information. Max free bet £10. T's and C's apply. 18+. Be gambleaware.org.